He said he didn't like that comparison. He says, because try losing one of those little games. And if you ever do, it ends up being the biggest game all year long. Well, it's the same thing with real estate closings. Every game, every closing is a very big deal at Jacob Title, because when it's your closing and your contract on the line, it's a very big deal. And we understand that at Jacob Title.
So it sounds like whether your client is a first-time residential buyer or a multi-million-dollar investor, they can expect your A game.
That's exactly right. As a matter of fact, when you bring your real estate closing to us at Jacob Title, we understand it's all about trust and confidence. And when Stan McDonald tells you that a chicken dips snuff, you can look under his wing for the box.
And like Beams likes to say, there's no doubt about it.
McCurry Motors is your car and van rental headquarters. You can rent the vehicle you need today. Family in town, sporting event, church function, no matter what your need, McCurry Motors has you covered with a wide selection of cars and vans available for rent. They have 12-passenger Mercedes Sprinter vans, 12-passenger Ford Transit vans, 15-passenger Ford Transit vans, and 15-passenger Chevrolet Express vans. They have 2 locations, Highway 72 in Athens or Max Luther Drive in Huntsville.
The Bass Pro Shops Red Crest Championship Outdoor Expo will be at the Von Braun Center April 4th, 5th, and 6th in conjunction with the MLF Red Crest Championship on Lake Gunnersville. The Outdoor Expo will be open from 11 to 6:30 daily, and the first 200 kids 14 and under on Saturday will receive a free Abu Garcia rod and reel, courtesy of WHNT News 19. There will be hourly giveaways, tackle and boat deals, seminars, and a chance to meet the pros. And it's free of charge. The Bass Pro Shops Red Crest Championship Outdoor Expo, April 4th through 6th at the BBC.
Mike Rowe here with a quick question. Have you noticed mold, mildew, bowing walls, or water in your basement? I hope not, but if you have, your basement is losing the war against groundwater. That's where AFS comes in, a groundworks company. They can honestly assess your situation and create a plan to waterproof your basement and stabilize your walls. Schedule your free inspection at afsrepair.com/row. And while you're there, check out my latest dirty job.
Licensed in all states, will work as before. See website for detail.
Would you call a plumber for a root canal? The same goes for selling your timberland or farm. Choose someone who understands your property and can help you on the front end so you can capitalize on the back end. I am Bo Butler with Southland Realty and Auction. As a guide, I have put many hunters in position to take a shot. It's time for you to take your shot. Let's talk about putting you in position to sell your property. Call me at 256-609-0512. Remember, Bo knows land.
Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
All right, here you have it. We're back. We're live. We're brand new. It's Talking Ball. 97.7 ESPN Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond. Happy Wednesday morning, everyone. Safe travels into work, into school, wherever you may be headed. Talent Heating and Air helping us tip off this Wednesday edition show. They've got a lot of talent, and they're just waiting to do a little work for you. 256-503-4490. Give them a call today. You can give them all three a call if you would like.
Can't wait for your
Thomas, Terry, and Jeremy.
Your Easter commercial.
Well, I don't know if you can really have a lot of fun with Easter.
Well, I'm sure you guys
probably could. Probably could.
I mean, Valentine's Day usually runs people off the road.
That's because Big Sexy put the light down low.
Oh,
that
Lord.
Big Sexy come work for you.
I texted somebody
Talent
the
Heating
other
and
night
Air.
about Boogie Nights, and they're like, who?
Oh. Oh.
I had to send
Burt Reynolds.
Yeah.
Burt Reynolds and Boogie Nights.
Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah.
Thousands. I had to send a note.
Yeah.
2007, I think it was.
You can find Talent Heating and Air on talenthvac.com. Boogie Nights is on Netflix.
Yeah, they probably think
Prime somewhere.
everybody listening this morning probably thinks this is the AVN Awards.
Anyway, speaking of awards, the Atlanta Braves, we got to start there. Because last night, the Los Angeles Dodgers, they did put a little history in the books last night. They got a 3-1 win over the Atlanta Braves. They're 7-0 to start the year. That matches the 1933 New York Yankees for the best start in baseball from a defending World Series champion. It also is the Dodgers' best start to a season since moving to Los Angeles in 1958. Conversely, the Atlanta Braves are still winless on the year, the only team in majors without a win for the sixth time since 1901. They've lost their first six. Fourth time since they've moved to Atlanta in 1966. Drew, none of those ended well. The Braves finished 81-80 in 1980. At worst, they lost 106 in 1988. Their most recent 0-6 start in 2016 grew to 0-9 en route to a 93-loss season. Now,
That was their last. I think that was their last losing season. It was a horrendous year.
Now it's not out of the question that they can't make the playoffs.
Yeah.
3 teams have started 0-6 and have gone on to make the postseason. The most recent example, 2011, the Tampa Bay Rays started 0-6. They made the playoffs. But what's bad is that you had Chris Sale on the mound yesterday.
There was a glimmer of hope. It was 1-0. I got a 1-0 update. I was like, "You're kidding!
They scored.
They scored!
Put one on the board.
Yes,
Brisket on the board."
Well, I don't know that our Hawk Harrelson used to scream brisket, but I was
No, but that sounds good.
Oh, it without a question. I think you had one of these once. Last time I was in there, I got me a brisket taco.
Those are good, aren't they?
Oh man,
Aren't those fantastic?
Never made it to the car, brother. Never made it to the car.
On my journeys to Indianapolis, I did visit. There was a Buc-ee's en route, just north of Bowling Green,
right?
And they did not have the barbecue out.
What?
But no. Did you know that in the morning they sell breakfast sandwiches?
I know that, but I thought they sold barbecue all day.
No, it was about 8:00 in the morning.
Oh.
Did not have. So they had a sausage, egg, and cheese biscuit.
Oh.
Phenomenal at Buc-ee's, by the way. Phenomenal. The sausage, egg, and cheese biscuit at Buc-ee's is worth the whatever price it was. It wasn't over. I mean, it was a little overpriced.
I was probably $6.50.
I don't know, but it was good.
Yeah. I mean, I think my brisket taco was $7.
Yes.
And it was still
no,
good.
it's fantastic.
Yeah.
The brisket taco is worth it.
Yeah. I ran across the way to one of the 6,522 however many gas pumps they got with the cameras. I had to throw my trash away over there, but I was like, this is some outstanding.
You know, if you tell them if you go inside and tell them you're paying cash for your gas, if you go there, they pull your car up on the monitor.
They do it say, "Is this your vehicle?"
Is this your vehicle?
Yes. So
and then you can put your gas in at Buc-ee's. Yeah.
Yeah, but you have to remember how to get back to your pump since they're 6,522.
You can get lost in what you're saying is you could get lost. Well, the Atlanta Braves, though, you don't want them
lost right now.
They need to find their way.
I'm starting to feel bad for Bill, especially. Bill's probably getting some nerves right now. They got to get a dub.
Is this a case of them not getting stuff done during the offseason, not going out and investing, or is this just the fact that they're opening up with 2 decent teams, the Padres and the Dodgers?
Well, that's part of it. I mean, that's 2 of the top 4 payrolls in baseball. 2 of them are heavy World Series like favorites, especially the Dodgers. But look, they also the Jerickson Profar stuff, the Lopez going down with the inflammation of the shoulder and being out for at least 2 months, whatever the hell happens there. I mean, it's just anything that could go wrong is going wrong. I mean, you know, they just right now, you know, they're not healthy. Starting catcher out, you know, and he's been hurt since they signed him, even though I think he's a really good player. And Sean Murphy, he's not there.
Right.
So I mean, and we all know their best player, Ronald Acuna Jr.
He's missing,
coming off of a knee injury. He's not there. It's not good right now. And so I do think it's possible that they turn it around, but pitching is what everybody needs. And then, having to let Fried walk to the Yankees, they tried for years to get him signed and they couldn't get it done. And that's turned out, I think, to hurt them. It's just right now, it's a perfect storm of everything going wrong. It's going to be interesting to see what Snitker and Alex Anthopoulos and the boys can do to try to fix this. And a friend of mine pointed out that they made coaching changes last year since they fell short. Kevin Seitzer had been the hitting coach for many years. They changed hitting coaches. And so who knows at this point in time.
Well, had the Braves offense been a little bit better.
The Braves offense so far has been garbage.
The Braves
Absolute
pitching
trash.
staff, had the Braves offense been better, they'd be 2-4 because the pitching staff has allowed 3 runs or fewer a few times this season already. And the Braves offense hasn't been able to duplicate that.
And they have had some bullpen issues as well, especially with their setup people. Haven't been great. So, I mean, think about Hector Neris. He tried to set up one game, blew up in his face, and they've already released him and got, Grandpa Jesse back.
Right.
So,
well, here is something. The Braves are going to return home.
Yeah.
29 teams in Major League Baseball history have started the season 0-7. None of those made the playoff. Only 2 of them even finished above 500.
Yeah.
So rolling the dice and playing the numbers, if the Braves want to avoid that category, that doomsday scenario, they're going to have to get a win here in game number 7 if they want to avoid being the 30th team to start 0-7 all time and not make the playoffs. So,
well, about the second.
Or finish above 500, I should say.
The second or the third loss to San Diego, I had a friend text me, he's a Braves fan. He goes, man, they're probably going 0-7. I thought, surely not. And now they're on the precipice of this happening. It's unreal. And don't forget, they don't have Doc Holliday either.
Oh, yeah.
Spencer Strider, he's not back yet completely from his issues. So
this is a team on the mend.
It is, but they suck.
But you can't dig yourself this big of a hole.
You can't be going 0-7, and you don't need to be giving $40 million to Jose Canseco Jr.
So you mentioned the lead. You mentioned the Braves had that 1-0 lead.
Yeah.
That was their first lead since opening day last night.
Yeah, because it sounded not promising on opening day. It looked like they might get a win over the San Diego Padres, but that's when the bullpen had the meltdown.
Had not led since opening day.
So. And they lost 7-4.
All right. Well, the Dodgers, how much do they spend per win?
I don't know. I mean, it's kind of like somebody asked me the other day, how much does Buc-ee's make per minute? And we guessed $5,000.
Yeah, they just print money. I was shocked, though. The Buc-ee's that I went into up there north of Bowling Green apparently either just opened or whatever because it was not overcrowded. It was not real busy. And I was like, wow, I can actually move around.
I was the last time I was in Buc-ee's, it was 2:00 in the morning coming back from an Alabama basketball game.
Shoulder to shoulder?
Well, the SEC tournament.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about this was like a tourist attraction, man. There were people everywhere. And I got gas.
Did you stop at the one by Athens?
Yeah.
Was it the one by Athens?
I mean, it was just, there was lines of cars trying to get in there. And then somebody
at 2 a.m.
Somebody from New Jersey parked their friggin' car and just left it, right? As you come around the corner, there's a car just sitting there. And you're like, what in the hell? And there's a sticker on it. And so I couldn't help myself.
Excuse me, I'm a dumbass.
I mean, I couldn't help it. I parked my car and I was like, I got to walk over here and see what this sign says. And it said, this car is illegally parked and can be towed lawfully. And then I looked at the front, the front tag, and I was like, New Jersey. I'm like, what the hell is this guy doing? Leaving his dang car right here? There's all these parking places. How big is this place? Why did you leave your car just sitting here?
It's not like there's room at Buc-ee's to park your car.
No, of course not. I mean, good grief.
Oh, my goodness.
It was weird. I was like, there's nobody in that car. Why are they sitting there? And then you had to, I don't know. But yeah, it was 2 a.m. People everywhere, man. Just printing. They had
Is there barbecue sandwiches at 2 a.m.?
Yeah, they were fresh brisket and on the board.
2 a.m.?
Yeah. There was jerky everywhere. They had homemade jerky they were finishing.
That's beef jerky.
Whatever. Beef jerky, yeah. It's what's for dinner. Or the morning.
Beef, yeah, beef. That was the ads. Remember back in the day?
Or and
beef. Then, it's what's for dinner.
And then, or where's the beef? Remember the lady?
Oh, the Wendy's commercial.
Yeah.
Where she's sitting in the back of the car.
John wasn't born then. He doesn't know what we're talking about. But I'm just saying. And we already got a text in from a listener, and he won't mind me saying this. Jay from Athens, he has no hope for today. He thinks it's 0-7.
He thinks it's 0-7.
Yeah, Bryce Elder is pitching. One-time All-Star, but most of his career with the Braves has been nothing but ducking. You know, the Gas House Gorillas.
Yep.
It's just been a lot of struggle bus.
Oh, my goodness.
And now I've been told by Jay that we need to try. I've never tried this. I don't know if you have it, Bucky's. He said, we need to try the cinnamon roll. It is big as a hubcap.
Really?
At Bucky's. See, Scott hasn't tried it either.
I've not tried.
It certainly is a big bun. It's a very big bun. Big, fluffy bun. It's a very big, fluffy bun. Where's the beef?
Some hamburger places give you a lot less beef on a lot of bun.
Where's the beef?
At Wendy's, we serve a hamburger we modestly call a single. And Wendy's single has more beef than the Whopper or Big Mac. At Wendy's, you get more beef and less bun.
Hey, where's the beef? I don't think there's anybody back there.
You want something better. You're Wendy's, kind of.
And
I had to find it. And it was too good.
And John, we will give you a shout out here. He thinks it's $57 million on 142,800
per win
for the Dodgers so far.
Per win.
I don't know.
If they won every single game this season, it'd be around $2.5 million per win. So,
oh wow. I hate the Dodgers.
You hate. I know. All right. Well, that's how we're going to get you rolling out of the gates. The Atlanta Braves, Bucky's, brisket, tacos, cinnamon rolls. Gosh.
Uh-oh. Brandon Pilcher, be easy talking about a woman with beef in the back seat of a car on the air.
Yeah, well.
Yeah. Well, Brandon, I heard at the beginning of the show, it did sound like we were on the AVN award. So we got off to, a rollicking start here. On
but see, this was the ball. This.
When you drive to Wendy's and order a single, you get more beef than the Whopper or the Big Mac.
It was.
At Wendy's, you never have to ask, where's the beef?
I mean, people still, as soon as you say, where's the beef, it resonates Wendy's. Yeah. It's the first thing that comes to your mind.
It's the most, Wendy's has had commercials for years. But that's probably the most unforgettable ones. That one, and before Dave passed away, and you figured out that he named the restaurants after his daughter. But yeah.
Oh, it's a big fluffy bun. Talk to the manager. It is the manager. Where's the beef? He's putting us under the supervisor. If you ask me, which you didn't, we should call the owner.
At Wendy's.
Call the owner.
Call the owner.
Call Dave.
7:18. We got to get a break in. And
remember, Dave used to be in the commercials.
He did.
Yeah.
Got college basketball conversation coming your way next. What's wrong? Why leave the SEC? And one college basketball player can't make up his mind on where he's going to play.
Well, and I'll say this: I was getting all these alerts. This April Fool stuff was making people just like lose their mind.
But the SEC did lose a coach yesterday on the hardwood. It's not an April Fool's joke. We'll ask why coming up next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
They should be close to clearing that wreck in Limestone County, 31 in Huntsville Browns Ferry. That one ended up being a no injury. All those inbound routes now pretty busy. 2030 Fast Track can make your clothes fall off. Allison lost 100 pounds in 7 months on the plan. A free hormone quiz will tell you if it can work for you. 2030huntsville.com. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
By now, you know about Eagle Masonry and Insulation, and maybe you know that Eagle also does landscaping and dirt work. But how about after paint work? Shower doors, shelving, and mirrors, all taken care of by Eagle, the same Eagle that takes care of all your masonry, insulation, and landscaping needs. Eagle brings the same level of expertise to all these disciplines, and they're ready to provide you with a free quote. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
Hey folks, this is Arthur Seaton, managing partner at University Kia, proudly saying Roll Tide and War Eagle. Stop into University Kia today and shop one of the area's largest selection of new Kias, including Fortes, Seltos, Telluride, and Popular Carnival, and fully electric EV6. View all the great specials at universitykia.com. And get pre-approved in minutes so you can drive home your new Kia you really want, because we want to see you in a University Kia.
Organizations using Salesforce know how powerful the platform is and how much time, money, and headaches it saves if it's set up right and you know how to use it. Let's face it, Salesforce is complicated and time-consuming to figure out, and a lot can go wrong now and down the road without expert help. That's why most Salesforce users work with an implementation partner like Higher Echelon, so they get the absolute most out of their Salesforce investment. Higher Echelon is a 5-star Salesforce consulting partner who won Salesforce Military Hiring Partner of the Year. President Dr. Joe Ross is retired Army who played and later coached for the cadets. He puts that experience to good use at Higher Echelon, where they pride themselves on hiring veterans. Look, not all Salesforce partners are the same. Don't put your company at risk by going with an inferior partner. Higher Echelon is the trusted partner you can count on to get you up and running and seeing returns on your Salesforce investment in a fraction of the time it would take if you go it alone. Go to higherechelon.com. That's HIGHERECHELON.com to learn more. Go higher and go Army.
The Bass Pro Shops Red Crest Championship Outdoor Expo will be at the Pond Bronze Center April 4th, 5th, and 6th in conjunction with the MLF Red Crest Championship on Lake Gunnersville. The Outdoor Expo will be open from 11 to 6:30 daily, and the first 200 kids 14 and under on Saturday will receive a free Abu Garcia rod and reel, courtesy of WHNT News 19. There will be hourly giveaways, tackle and boat deals, seminars, and a chance to meet the pros. And it's free of charge. The Bass Pro Shops Red Crest Championship Outdoor Expo, April 4th through 6th at the BBC.
Have you discovered Good Company Cafe? The place for breakfast, brunch, lunch, and so much more. Enjoy brunch all day and pair with one of our many seasonal refreshing drinks, including alcoholic and non-alcoholic options. Choose inside or outside on our gorgeous, spacious, dog-friendly patio. And have some fun with friends playing yard games in the courtyard. See catering, to-go options, and lots more at goodcompany-cafe.com. Good Company Cafe, 7500 South Memorial Parkway.
We are your home for March Madness.
Dribbling left, big step down the lane, runner for the win. Maryland is going to the Sweet 16.
We are 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
There you go. Welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond, 7:21. On said Wednesday morning. Yeah. Coming up in a little bit at 8 o'clock, Nathan King going to join us fresh off his trip from the ATL. I'm interested to see just how TV doesn't do a lot of things justice.
Right.
I'm just curious to see exactly how loud it was inside. I know it was. Loud. It seemed loud, but I want Nathan to tell us how loud exactly it was inside State Farm Arena. Especially when Janai Broom hit that three-pointer. Hit that three-pointer after
Not
coming out of
the jabroni.
Oh, my goodness. So the SEC this year, we started talking about it at the beginning of the year at SEC Basketball Media Days, just how good the conference could be. And a lot of it was because of the returning talent that the league had. You had Mark Sears at Alabama and company. You had Janai Broom at Auburn. You had Ziegler at Tennessee. Florida had a lot of returning talent. You look at the rest of the league, and there was a lot of it. But the one thing you also said was this coaching
fraternity
in the SEC
roster
was deep. Yeah, the roster was deep. Everybody was, except for Vanderbilt, everybody was there. Mark Byington comes into Vanderbilt, and he had a phenomenal first year.
Oklahoma and Texas.
Yes. And then so the league was a little bit deeper. And all year long, the SEC best basketball conference in America. And it was like, wow, this is it. Why would you want to leave? Well, the Maryland job comes open. There was a lot of speculation, a lot of rumor that Buzz Williams would leave Texas A&M. And you kind of ask yourself, why would you leave the SEC, the best basketball conference in America right now, to take a job in the Big Ten, take a job at a program that after Gary Williams left, Mark Turgeon had a splash, but it hasn't been a great move for Maryland to leave. They look like they're in a mess. Buzz Williams ultimately leaves Texas A&M and goes to Maryland.
Well, Willard goes to the Big East. He wanted to be back on the East Coast, and it's a basketball conference, and their revenue share will be at Villanova. It's going to, the majority of it's going to men's basketball, and I think that was part of his thinking. It's also a championship program at Villanova when you have the right guy. We saw what Jay Wright did. We saw what Roley did. We've already talked about 1985. They've won 3 national championships, but I'm also going to tell you this. I know that Buzz Williams was a Texas guy and had been an assistant at A&M before he came back to be the head coach, but he's going to Maryland. And what I mean by that is I know Maryland is not in the ACC anymore, but Gary Williams, they were a power under him. When he came back to his alma mater, they won a national championship in 2002. They've made Final Fours. A&M has done none of that. Okay. I mean, historically, A&M is not a great basketball job.
Right.
It is a mid-tier job. Maryland, if you get the right guy, is the better job. And they're still in an outstanding league, the richest league, if you go by the TV deal and financials at Maryland. And if Buzz gets them rolling, I got a funny feeling, certainly they're going to continue to try to fund football under Mike Loxley.
Right.
But basketball is always going to be a high priority. We know you're very familiar with Brenda Fries. She's been there forever, and she won a national championship on the women's side. Basketball is still, I think, what Maryland is defined by.
And Buzz Williams coached at Virginia Tech.
Yeah, and
he's familiar with the area.
Where I disagreed with Jeff Goodman. Jeff Goodman was kind of surprised at the fit.
Right.
But when you think about it, he was at Virginia Tech 5 years. He had more success there than anyone has. That's the DMV area. And before he was at Marquette. And so he's been on the East Coast. He knows how to recruit. And I also think stylistically they're tough to play against. And I think it fits in the Big Ten. Certainly it was
that style is a little bit more.
In the SEC, it was still a problem to deal with, the physicality and everything. And it's not pretty basketball at times, but I think Buzz can be really successful at Maryland. I thought either he or Chris Beard. It's like we're trying to get Chris Beard a job everywhere but Ole Miss.
Well, that does now. You bring up Chris Beard. That does.
Because Ole Miss is historically, they've only made 2 Sweet 16s ever. They've never made the Elite Eight.
Right.
Beard did a great job in year 2 in Oxford, no doubt about it.
Well, his name now is he is supposedly the front runner to replace Buzz Williams at Texas A&M.
And I'll give Ole Miss credit. They certainly have, committed to him. They have the pavilion that they built that Andy Kennedy helped get done.
Right.
But they're paying him $5 million per year. And I think Buzz was making $4 million at Texas A&M. Okay. So A&M's going to have to step up. They're going to have to buy out, the contract of Chris Beard, which I think is about $3.5 million. And by the way, we were talking about this off the air. Buzz's had dropped to $1 million.
Yeah. Yesterday on Tuesday, his buyout, and this was a big reason why it was not announced until yesterday, his buyout dropped to $1 million. Maryland got $2 million when Willard left to go to Villanova. So now his buyout's only $1 million. Maryland can turn around, take that $1 million of the $2 million, send it to Texas A&M, and they're still $1 million ahead of all this buyout exchange. Right. So that's a good situation for Maryland to be in, especially when you don't have an AD.
Yeah, that's another. I think reason people were surprised because the president was handling it,
yes.
and the athletic director Damon Evans had gone to SMU, so they don't have one right now at Maryland.
So if you're Chris Beard and Texas A&M comes to calling, that just a no-brainer to pass up? I mean,
I don't think it's a no-brainer. I would have to have certain guarantees NIL-wise and money-wise. I mean,
is Ole Miss a better job basketball-wise than Texas A&M?
I would say no. I think there's more resources at Texas A&M,
right.
More money, but it's a bigger university. But Ole Miss, the job has been elevated. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
All right, let's go to the phone lines real fast. Let's get Bama Bino in. Good morning, Bama Bino.
Good morning, sir.
Hey, great show, guys.
Thank you, sir.
Had a great weekend. I was going to come in on 2 or 3 things and tell you we had a crawfish boil, but I like it when y'all do the nostalgic commercials. It gives me a sense of, that's my generation. Where's the beef and that old lady? Those commercials they try to reenact, they're not the same.
Nope.
They don't have the, it's sort of like the lady needing that little pulse thing calling 911. It's just not the same.
Oh, is that the help I need up or I can't get up call lady?
I can't get up is the original one, and this other one's a Yankee version. Hey, get up. It's just silly. But anyway, and comment on the basketball. We need some fundamental work done, missing dunks and layups, but we couldn't beat Duke was a better team in my opinion.
Right.
But he lets him. He might say stuff on the bench that we're not aware of. So I'm not. If I knew more about it than Oates, I'd be down there. So I'm not saying I do, but it's kind of frustrating. It was a closer game, should have been than what it was, but there's no way we could beat them. Not really, but. And this weekend, last week, my buddy Charles Carter's son Marcus. You remember Marcus played at Alabama?
Marcus Carter from Fort Payne. Yes, sir.
Right. He's got some businesses up here, edges of the mountain in Stevenson and Fort Payne. Lives in Fort Payne. His dad's one of my best friends. We played semi-pro softball together on a lot of leagues over the years, and he's a retired UPS driver, and he said, I'm investing with the kids and the old lady said, I can't go but get the crawfish, but I'll be back Saturday. We're going to have a crawfish boil for Daddy's 61st birthday.
Nice.
So I went to Bragg's Fish Market. I knew where it had my, where I used to live, Abbeville, Lafayette, Louisiana, around in there. They get them once a week, that Bragg's guy does. And so I got almost 30 pounds of crawfish. And a buddy of mine I played ball with at Sylvania and a little bit of Red League, his son did the cooking, one of them $800 vats. And we had just some best time, get your things spread out, a little corn and your potatoes and your shrimp and crawfish and taters and just pop a cold and just enjoy the company. I mean, it was great.
That's awesome, Bama Bino.
Before you go, I've got to ask you, you being a Sand Mountain guy, what's the reaction of Robbie Coker going to McNeese State?
Hey, it's a step up. I knew he could make better at Fort Payne than he could Plainview, even though he got a lot of booster money because of his success. But the city schools can pay more than the county schools.
That's right.
And he doubled his salary and his supplement. And he is just too good a coach to even be around here. I mean, he's meant for bigger things.
Yeah.
I think you'll see either improve or win a Division II or what used to be called Division II. I guess they call it FBS now, but he's just he thinks outside the box, like the Belmont backdoor thing.
Yeah.
With my cousin's boy, Cade Milliken.
Cade Milliken, yep.
The 3, and then the next year, the backdoor 2-point bounce pass. It was him that shot the second year winning shot with the 2-pointer. And Pat Madden's son, Tristan's the one that gave him the bounce pass. I know you know who Pat Madden is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pat Madden from Albertville. He married a Willingham lady from Rainsville, and that was his son that did the bounce pass, acting like he was trapped,
Yeah,
and
that's right.
The Belmont bounce pass. And his name Tristan Willingham, because when they got divorced, they named him Willingham instead of Pat Madden, but that's his son. And Pat, we do the Texas Hold'em sometime. We all good friends with Carter and all of them, and man, we had such a good time. And there's a lot of athletes up here that's just fairly well known, like say Sam Graham, and he coached for Bobby Wallace for years. Some of them, and we just think we knew it was coming. Coker is just he's the real deal, man. He's just he's a tactician, but he's also fundamentals and knows how to motivate.
That's right.
Bambino, thanks for the phone call, bud.
Thank you,
Love
bud.
you guys.
Absolutely. All right. And this is just for Bambino right here.
Where's the
I'm calling paramedics and your family, Mr. Miller.
I've fallen and I can't get up.
Oh my goodness.
We're sending help immediately, Mrs. Fletcher.
See? Protect yourself with Life Call, and you're never alone.
There we go. That was for Bambino right there. Dug in the old archives for that one. Got to get a break in. We'll get back out to your phone calls.
Hold on, Richard.
Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. Incredibly warm as we head into the overnight. Temperatures dropping into the mid and upper 60s. That's all the lower we're going to get. We're going to continue the warmth as we head into your Thursday. Partly sunny to mostly cloudy sky. Maybe a couple of rogue showers develop across the Tennessee Valley. Temperatures climbing into the low and mid 80s. Dropping into the upper 60s, lower 70s as we head into the overnight. A partly sunny to mostly cloudy sky. Friday afternoon, temperatures climbing into the low and mid 80s. We're going to do this again on Saturday. Temperatures climbing into the low and mid 80s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
That wreck in Limestone County, 31 in Huntsville Browns Ferry, is still our only working accident. It should be pretty well wrapped up or getting very close to it. Everything else in good shape this morning. You be careful on your ride in. The annual Bloomin' Festival, Art, Craft, Music, and Food Festival is this weekend at St. Bernard in Coleman. It's a Southeast top tourist event with over 150 artists and craftsmen. You can win a 25 Buick Encore at the Bloomin' Festival in Coleman. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Countdown to the 2025 Trash Panda season is on. Tickets are available for the full 2025 home schedule, including opening night on Friday, April 4th. But it doesn't end there. The Trash Panda season opens with 9 home games in 10 days, featuring theme nights, giveaways, fireworks, and more. This opening homestand has it all. For more information, check us out online at trashpandasbaseball.com.
You don't have to go somewhere else just so you can go somewhere new. Plan your next vacation with Huntsville International Airport and Breeze Airways. Enjoy friendly, convenient, nonstop travel to some of the most exciting destinations in the U.S., including the home of 12 world-famous theme parks, Orlando, Florida. With flights starting as low as just $49, Breeze has got you covered with easy, breezy, nonstop flights to Orlando. Make all their dreams come true. Book nonstop to Orlando now at flybreeze.com.
I'm here with Thomas from Talent Heating and Air. With the temperatures going up and temperatures going down right now is a good time to get your heating and air system looked at. Thomas, when somebody calls, you guys answer.
That's right. The phones are staffed by us. They're manned 24/7. We're ready to come out and take care of you that day.
How do they give you guys a call?
You give us a call at 256-503-4490.
And you can find you guys on the World Wide Web at
TalentHVAC.com.
And now is a good time to do this because you guys are offering a special deal.
That's right. We're doing $49 tune-ups this spring. We're also doing free second opinions. We offer that year-round. Somebody comes out, they say you got a bag compressor, leaking refrigerant. Give us a call, see if we can save you some money.
Thomas from Talent Heating and Air. Thomas, one more time, that phone number.
256-503-4490. AL certain number 21014.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
Sports Talk 24/7, 365. Your full-time sports station.
You're doing a great job. Keep up the good work.
Is 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Doesn't anyone do any work around this joint
Good one right there. Feeling the vibe this morning.
Yeah, we're getting all kind of old commercials sent to us. Now we got Mikey. He likes it.
Oh, the life commercial? Oh, my goodness.
Here we go.
All right, let's get out to the phone lines.
Richard.
Richard is with us this morning. Good morning, Richard.
Morning, guys. I want to talk about Buzz. Before that, on Buc-ee's, it's spring break, Drew, on that Saturday morning at 2 a.m. 65 is gridlocked from about 9 to about 12 between 565 down to Coleman.
Yeah.
I hate 65. I mean, I despise 65, Interstate 65 during spring break.
Yeah.
For like a month, I despise being on that road.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because my mom's at an old folks home in Hanceville there, and I mean, I have to plan on if I go to visit on Saturday, I have to leave, the house about 8 o'clock to get down there, or just go Sunday.
Right.
Or just take 31 south all the way.
Yeah, I did the other day. I went to visit her and went 31 through Decatur. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell you what, on Buzz, I mean, Maryland was having trouble, filling the arena earlier in the year. They didn't really kind of get, catch on till, the last, the Crab 5 until the last few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason they joined the Big Ten is money problems.
Yeah. No, they needed the money, and the Big Ten offered a big chunk of change and everything. Yeah.
But Willard was complaining about not getting the extra night in New York, and I mean, A&M, unless they're just still paying off your buddy Dirtneck, I mean, they got, more money in the world, but I don't know why you would only have Buzz with unless I guess they knew he was leaving, a $1 million buyout, which is crazy.
Yeah, and I thought Buzz did a great job at A&M, and Mark Turgeon, before he left for Maryland, ironically, if we remember that, he was at A&M as well.
That's true.
And he left to go there. That's another coach they've lost to Maryland. So A&M is a good basketball job. I wouldn't call it a great one. And so it's going to be interesting to see if Chris Beard keeps laying in the weeds and waiting, or if he thinks this A&M opportunity is a good one.
And it wasn't a good source. I just saw supposedly he told him no.
Oh, really?
Really? Well, it wasn't John Rothstein or one of these guys or Jeff Goodman. It wasn't one of these national reporters. So you kind of, especially yesterday, you don't know what to believe.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily it's April 2nd now, where you can. It's kind of like I think Scott was going to talk about Meechie Johnson there. And after Meechie's gone to Ohio State and South Carolina like 5 times. Each way. I wasn't sure if that was real or not. I mean.
Yeah, there's a lot of things yesterday that you had to
Man, I got an alert this morning about Mark Sears getting an extra year of eligibility and going to Auburn. He wanted to win a ring.
That was a good parody account yesterday. Yeah.
Getting Richard G. West.
But Mark might want to jump on real quick then if he wants to win one. It would be a good time if he went down there this week, to San Antonio. And it's kind of a good setup when you're already in the Final Four.
Yeah.
So Yeah, but like I said, I was just kind of surprised about Buzz. You know, Maryland historically is a better, basketball job, but lately, you might not be able to say that over the last 4 or 5 years. Out, and two, it used to be in the ACC, and you had natural rivals. Where now, he may be having to, Nick Cronin was complaining about all the travel. Maryland may be going out to Oregon and LA to play games.
Yeah, I know that the travel is something in the Big Ten right now. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, where where Buzz, one thing about Buzz is, which he may not have wanted to play Texas every year, but all of a sudden, you got a team within a few hours of you to travel to that you're going to play twice a year.
Mm-hmm.
Versus, even Maryland, you're going to Iowa.
Ain't nothing wrong with going there.
There we go.
Ain't nothing wrong with going there.
So, but like I said, just the travel versus the Southeastern Conference, which are probably your longest flight's about 2 hours.
Yeah,
mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
Out. So like I said, to me, just kind of a crazy thing. And but Buzz, his track record, every 5 years he leaves.
5-6 years, you're right. It's been a pattern with him, and I just like him. I think he's
all right, Richard. Thanks for the phone call.
Call, man. I'm a Buzz Williams fan. I think he does a solid job.
You asked for it, you got it.
Here we go.
What's this stuff? Some cereal. It's supposed to be good for you. Do you try it? I'm not gonna try it. You try it. I'm not gonna try it. Let's get Mikey. Yeah. He won't need it. He hates everything.
When you bring life home, don't tell the kids it's one of those nutritional cereals you've been trying to get them to eat. You're the only one who has to know.
There you go. The Life commercial. Get Mikey to eat it. He eats anything.
He'll eat anything.
They tried to remake that back in 2000.
Well, Bambino said you can't remake them. It ends up being a disaster.
Nope, you can't. And they oh man, that's a classic commercial. Well, this other guy's classic. Let's bring in Jeff from the Borough. Good morning, Jeff.
How you doing, man?
Is it really true? Serious transferring off?
No. It was so much just like April Fool's
I
stuff.
saw you say like you've got to be is that true? You've got to be kidding.
No, it was all these.
Yeah, I promise I'm not trying to start something with you. I sent this to one of my Kentucky friends, and I've got several, and he actually fell for it. I thought he would catch it immediately that it was not true, but I'll tell you another April Fool's that was sent to me last night, and as soon as I read it, I knew it was a made up because it was coming from an account that's called College Basketball Report, and it said. It was breaking news from the transfer portal.
Right.
The University of Kentucky has its latest transfer. It is Tor Leitner, a 6'5" guard from Jacksonville, will join the Wildcats this upcoming season. He is the son of Duke blue blood Christian Leitner. And my friend thought it was real. He said, "Oh my God, how can this be possible?" And I'm like, "Come on."
Half of the stuff you read yesterday.
When I saw that, it looked like it was a legitimate Amazon road. That's why I was
Yeah.
just they wanted her.
I mean, come on, man.
I was like, well, okay. I thought it was something legit.
I was like, come on. No,
I didn't ask you, Drew. Do you believe the phrase? I mean, I know they can't really control it, but do you think they had the toughest opening week of any of the teams?
I mean, schedule-wise, yeah, but it's still not great if you're going to go 0-7. You can't do that. I mean, that's just a disaster. I mean, I'm not sugarcoating anything. I mean,
opportunities to win at least 2 of them.
Yeah, you got to win. Try to win 2-3 games, be at least near 500. It's very difficult to dig a dang 0-7 hole, which is what they are on the verge of doing.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like. I mean, I know they can't control. I know the Cubs have the Padres this weekend for home opener.
Yeah.
If they win, I'll take one win right now. And go to the house. I don't think they're going to do much with them, but who knows? I mean, they could, they could do something or not. So I don't know. But I was kind of taken back. And as far as Maryland goes, they've Giselle put them on the map anyway, way before Gary Williams did.
Yeah, your lefty. Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
Giselle put them way on the. And he put
I was just saying. I was making reference to Gary Williamson that Maryland has not had success like they had since Gary Williamson stepped away.
Right.
Yes,
Until
indeed.
Gary Williams,
Yeah, Gary Williams stepped away. Yeah.
Hey, you know about A&M? Who's the other side? Those jobs are about even. I get what every school y'all talking about, but they're about even type jobs. Either one of them schools, Ole Miss and A&M. To me, they're even. Either one of them.
You can make the argument. I mean, I don't think there's much difference in them, especially since Ole Miss improved their facility.
Yeah, you got the facilities better. That's about all they. To me, that's about all they've done now. Now, Maryland, like you said, Maryland's got a great women's program as far as that goes. But as far as A&M and Ole Miss and A&M, it's about even. But well, enjoy the show, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And I do think that if you can mine your way into the talent of the DMV, I think you can get good players at Maryland. And so I think, I don't think it's a bad move for Buzz at all, especially to restart.
The one thing yesterday that I did see that I did have to do a double take was that Val Kilmer passed away.
Did he really?
Yeah. No, it was not an April Fool's joke. Val Kilmer.
Well, I mean, I knew he was having like health problems.
Yeah, he was. He was not in great health.
Yeah, with the sequel, they had to do some tricky things with the sequel to
Top Gun.
Yeah. We all know about that. Because he made some appearances in it, but it was they had.
It was
to do
very small.
Things.
It was. I like how they blended him in to the Top Gun.
Right.
But yes, Val Kilmer passed away.
Wow. I mean, I knew again that he wasn't doing very well, but I did not know. I did not see that.
All right, we got to get a break in. We'll wrap up hour one of Talking Ball coming up next. We're throwing everything at you today.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
They've now cleared that wreck, 31 in Huntsville Browns Ferry. That was our only working accident. Now that it's out of the way, we're dealing with a clean slate. You be careful. That can change quickly. No hoses, no mask. Dr. Sandman has the medically proven benefits of the Somnodent for sleep apnea and for snoring. Dr. Sandlin, 350-CARE. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
I'm here with Stan McDonald of Jacob Title. Stan, I've heard that every real estate closing at Jacob Title is a very big deal. Why is that?
Wes, I'm reminded of a very impactful statement that I heard from Coach Gene Stallings years ago when he talked about big games and little games. He said he didn't like that comparison. He says, because try losing one of those little games. And if you ever do, it ends up being the biggest game all year long. Well, it's the same thing with real estate closings. Every game, every closing is a very big deal at Jacob Title. Because when it's your closing and your contract on the line, it's a very big deal, and we understand that at Jacob Title.
So it sounds like whether your client is a first-time residential buyer or a multi-million-dollar investor, they can expect your A game.
That's exactly right. As a matter of fact, when you bring your real estate closing to us at Jacob Title, we understand it's all about trust and confidence. And when Stan McDonald tells you that a chicken dips snuff, you can look under his wing for the box.
And like Beams likes to say, there's no doubt about it.
Football season and Bad Daddy's Burger Bar. The perfect combination of good times and great food. This season, score big with one of our chef-inspired expressions of pure burger amazingness. Our delicious burgers are made with premium Angus beef, and you can pair it with one of our signature cocktails or a cold craft beer from our huge selection. Bad Daddy's Burger Bar on the Parkway in Huntsville and our new location at Cliff Farm, Highway 72 in Madison.
Tom Luganville here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Now is the time to sign up for the Eagle Installation WZZN Charity Golf Tournament to benefit the Make-A-Wish Foundation. This year's event is the morning of April 21st at Cherokee Ridge, and each member of the winning team not only gets the championship belts, but a full year membership to Cherokee Ridge. Breakfast and lunch are provided, plus tremendous prizes and a chance to win $100,000. Cost is $800 a team or $200 per individual, and corporate sponsorships are available. Send an email to 977WZZN events@gmail.com to reserve your spot today.
today. Eagle Masonry and Installation. It's right there in the name. Eagle is your one-stop shop for block, stone, or brickwork, monument signs, and outdoor kitchens and fireplaces. Eagle also offers the finest craftsmanship and insulation, including fiberglass or spray foam insulation, and of course, insulation removal. Philip Love and his team have years of experience, bringing the region the best in masonry and insulation services. For more information and a quote, visit insulatewitheagle.com or call 256-755-1556. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
Hello, listeners. My name is Jonathan Dunwoody, and I own Minuteman Press. We are a full-service print shop that is locally owned and operated. I have personally been handling direct mail for over 17 years and have a great relationship with the USPS. We are the only print shop in the area that is listed as a print provider on their website and the only printing franchise that can use their logo as our partner on marketing materials. We can help from conception to design, print, and delivery to the post office. And with our easy, secure online payment option, you don't even need to leave your office. Minuteman Press, we're not just putting ink on paper, we're building relationships.
This segment of Talkin' Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama, located online at universitykia.com.
Go down some county road, let it ride, and just enjoy the pollen-free air if you can find it. So this was the story. I thought this was an April Fool's one yesterday, too, this Meechie Johnson thing.
I didn't see this one, though.
You did not see this one?
No.
Okay, so for those that don't know, Meechie Johnson is a college basketball player.
That's right.
Meechie Johnson started his college basketball career playing for 2 years at Ohio State.
That's right.
2021, 2022. Said in 2023, I'm going to go play for South Carolina.
And they had a good year.
Played for South Carolina in 23 and 24.
1 year.
Then I guess was sitting around and said, you know what? I'm going to go play for Ohio State in 2025.
He went back.
Apparently, Meechie Johnson missed Columbia, South Carolina, because in 2026, he is going back to Columbia, South Carolina to play for the Gamecocks.
But 21 was after COVID.
Yes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This will be his 6th year.
Wait a minute. No, but you said 21, 22.
Yes.
And then 22, 23, 23, 24 at South Carolina, and then 24, 25 at Ohio, back at Ohio State. That should be 4 years. That's 4.
Yeah.
So are you saying he's getting a 5th year?
He's going to South Carolina. Yes. He committed to South Carolina to play for the Gamecocks. He can't make up his mind on which school he likes the best.
Man, how crazy.
Has transferred from Ohio State to South Carolina after transferring from South Carolina to Ohio State after transferring from Ohio State to South Carolina.
Say that 3 times fast. I mean, give me a break. But I think he played for 2 different coaches at Ohio State.
Oh, there's a good chance you probably did.
Yeah, I mean,
because when he first got there in 21, Thad Matta was.
It was Chris Holtman, I believe, who had come over from Butler.
I mean, what do you do for senior day? Do you give him like a split jersey?
I don't know. I guess you need to play Ohio State. It's what you need to do. So he can say hello to everybody, because they up, and then Jake Diebler was the interim that they gave the job to, and so he was on the staff when Meechie was there. So Meechie comes back to Ohio State, and now he's going to play for Lamont Paris for the 2nd time. My head hurts.
Well, there's a lot of people that are now transferring.
So this is legit. This is
legit. Yes, this is not a. I looked. This was one of those ones where I had to look like 5 times. So I looked on On3, it was legit. And then I started looking at other reports, and it's legit. Meechie Johnson is transferring yet again yet again back to the school where he was part of before.
Good grief.
And then this one is also real as well. For Auburn fans, they'll remember this one because they just got done seeing him play in person.
Right.
Trey Donaldson is back in the portal.
Yeah, I did see that one, because, of course, as we know, Michigan already started adding pieces from the portal. And so we'll see what happens. And it sounds like our friends at Alabama A&M are going to announce their new head coach on Thursday. I got that alert. Now, I don't have,
I talked to Van Pettaway.
Right.
And he told me who he would have went and hired. And that was, I can tell you here in a second.
Right.
He told me if he was in charge of it, he would pick up the phone and he would call Dante Jackson from Grambling. That's who he would have picked the phone up and called right away. Yeah. He felt like Dante Jackson, it was his 7th season. So at the helm of Grambling, he said that's who he would have called. But he goes, they haven't asked me. So I don't know. But that's who he would have called was Dante Jackson at Grambling. But we'll find out. We'll see if we can find out that ahead of time.
Yeah, old Beachy.
Yeah, see, it's real, isn't it?
Remember that video game? What was it? The Atari 3200, where it was the old school tennis. It was just back and forth.
Fancier version of Pong,
I guess. We're being nostalgic today, so I just thought I'd point that out.
Well, what's the Nintendo? Was it the Intellivision or whatever the game system? I forget what it's called.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. AI-powered betting models to help you make sharper picks during March Madness. Free 7-day trial available now at rhythm.com. That's RITHMM.com.
Duke men's basketball set for the Final Four this Saturday night in San Antonio. They'll take on the Houston Cougars. Duke's a 5.5-point favorite. Houston plus 210, over under 136.5. Auburn's a 2.5-point underdog against Florida. The Tigers plus 130, over under 159.5. The Atlanta Braves are 0-5 to start the season. They lost last night 3-1 at Los Angeles. The Dodgers improved to 7-0. Bryce Elder starts for the Braves tonight. They're plus 205 on the money line. The Dodgers go with Blake Snell, LA minus 270. The Dodgers are the World Series favorite at plus 250. The Yankees plus 850. The Braves, Mets, and Phillies all plus 1,000 to win the World Series. I'm Chuck Sanders on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
WCZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
This hour brought to you by SportsMed Orthopedic and Spine Center. Online at sportsmedalabama.com. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center helping us get started here in hour number 2. SportsMedAlabama.com, 256-881-5151. Experience that SportsMed difference. Please give them a call. SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center. A lot of smart people work there, and they know what they're doing. They know how to take care of you. So all those nicks, bruises, bumps, and pains or whatever, trust me. Go see him, SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center. It was the Intellivision, by the way.
Jay Vassar texting in saying it was by Mattel.
Yes.
And he did have one.
And I really brought up something. We had an Atari 400 in our house, which was Atari's version of a computer/video gaming system. I don't know if anybody had one of those, but we did. We were the Lone Rangers probably in America on that one. We were talking about hour number one. We were talking about the college basketball. We were
the
talking
electric
about
atmosphere in Atlanta.
And by the way, the Auburn-Michigan State game, for those that really pay attention to all of this, it was the most watched basketball game, averaged 11.7 million people on CBS, which became the most watched game so far of the 2025 NCAA basketball tournament. And that's what the thing is. I said on TV, it felt electric, but I want to know just how loud it really was inside State Farm when Janai Broome hit that three.
And this is where then our next guest is now with us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. He's joined us throughout this journey for the Auburn Tigers. He has been there for each and every game on this historic season, and it can arguably called now the best in Auburn history. Now, of course, they've equaled the 2019 team, but they've won the most games. They've got a finalist for National Player of the Year. They've won the regular season in the best league, arguably ever. For a college basketball season, and now they have a chance to reach the first national championship game in Auburn basketball history. And we're going to talk with Nathan King about all that right now from 24/7 Sports and Auburn Undercover. Nathan, welcome back to Talking Ball this morning with Drew and Scott. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you guys?
Okay,
doing good.
Scott's been wondering about this the whole first hour. We were watching it, on TV ourselves, and it looked and felt electric. How loud was it, floor level, to cover this game?
Oh, it was just ridiculous. It took it a step up from that first game. Michigan was a really, really good atmosphere, but a combination of a couple things. Number one, some of those seats cleared out, and more Auburn fans were able to get in there. Number two, obviously, it was the heightened sense of playing the next round and playing an Elite Eight game. But also, I think fans had sort of heard about how impactful they were a couple days prior. Like, they had been told over and over again by the players, like how big it was for them to provide that impact from a crowd perspective, and so they were ready to go. It also helps out that Auburn had a 17-0 run early in the game.
Right.
That just gave them a lot of juice, and I think most people just kind of ended up standing from there on out. Like, it was enough to just kind of get them going. But you mentioned the Janai Broome moment at the end of the game. I mean, everybody, myself included, just assumed that he was just coming back out to go to the bench.
Yeah,
I think
right,
most people, because it had been communicated already what he said to Chaney Johnson and Dylan Cardwell, which was he had told them, "I'm done. Y'all go finish this thing out and get us a win." So I think a lot of people had seen that, but also a lot of people were just under the assumption that because of how scary the injury looked, like there was no way he was coming back in the game. Well, obviously, in hindsight, we learned that there was no damage or anything like that. He obviously hyperextended it, and if he wanted to get back in the game, he was in some pain, but he was in no threat for any further damage. And so, yeah, that moment of he goes and talks to Stephen Pearl for a second, and then sees Dylan Cardwell calling for a sub, and just kind of jogs past them onto the floor. I mean, yeah, like you could see behind him, every single Auburn fan stood up and threw both hands in the air. It was sort of just like you couldn't have seen it coming, I don't think, was the biggest reason why it was such a huge moment. Like, there wasn't a shot in the air that could have gone in the basket or anything like that. It was everybody just assumed that his day was done, and that that their superstar was going to be sitting out the rest of the game, and lo and behold, he comes in. And so it was easily one of the loudest moments of the entire season, but only to be outdone a couple minutes later by him hitting that 3-pointer.
I saw your tweet. That was unreal. Oh my God.
I mean, it's just ridiculous. It was absolutely ridiculous. Obviously, it wasn't a game-winning shot or anything like that. Of course, it was kind of the dagger. Kind of felt like the dagger in that game. It just kind of felt like after that moment, it was like there's no way Auburn loses this game. And so, for all those reasons, for all that context together, I think it was one of the biggest sequences in in Auburn basketball history. It's something people are going to remember certainly for a long time.
Well, let me ask you this. Was everyone stunned that he took the shot?
I think when he was open, I think I was more surprised because on the other end, he brought down a rebound with one arm.
One arm, right.
And it was like he just left that right arm kind of just hanging there. He brought down the rebound with his left arm and kind of brought it into his elbow. And so I think my assumption at the time was just kind of like, well, Dylan Cardwell needed a sub. Dylan Cardwell was gassed. Like, he's just out there to play defense, and he's out there to be an extra body. And maybe if he gets a touch on the interior, he can use that left hand. But to be able to load up a shot from the 3-point arc, a guy who's only 28% shooter or what have you from outside, I mean, it was surprising that he pulled it. But now, in hindsight, though, it's not at all, of course, right? I mean, in hindsight, when you have that moment and you have that opportunity for him to sink the kind of shot that he did, I mean, and knowing the guy Janai Broome is as well, and knowing the fact that he relished that opportunity, I mean, in hindsight, not surprising at all. But in the moment, it was like I just didn't know how functional he was as an offensive player at that point. But I mean, clearly it was good enough to where he was able to hoist that shot and put it in the basket.
Well, before that, and let's go back to the first half. Man, I tell you, if there was any question whether or not Janai Broome was going to show up and what kind of performance he was going to have, he had his traditional Janai double in the first half of that Michigan State game.
Yeah, it was the second straight game he had a double-double in the first half alone. Obviously, the second straight game he had a 20-point double-double. He made the first 3 shots of the game. I mean, there was already, like you said, there's no doubt, of course, that he is going to be the focal point for this team. But you're exactly right in that it makes a difference when Janai Broome hits a few shots early in a game. Not for him, not for his momentum or confidence or anything like that. But you could already tell Michigan State was committing a lot of attention to him, of course. But when you put in 2 or 3 hook shots right away, and it's kind of clear that you can't guard this guy one-on-one, all of a sudden I think it gets a little bit more tense for a defense. That your game plan, which was clear that they had a double team game plan on him. They just didn't have the massive size to be able to hold it down with him there on the inside. They don't have a tremendous defensive player in the front court. But when you start 3 of 3, and I believe you started 5 of 5 overall in the game, like it was, you've got to ramp that up even more. You've got to commit that much more attention. And I mean, the way Auburn started this game, look, the final minutes and the dramatics at the end, and what Janai Broome did to come back in obviously was really, really important. But as you guys know, every basket counts the same over the course of the 40 minutes. And so I thought the 17-0 run at the beginning, I mean, that's why they won this game, because they put themselves in such a great position throughout. They never trailed after that. Michigan State never came within closer than 5 points. After that, you kept them at a nice arm's length the rest of the way, and it was especially a nice cushion against such a good defensive team, because Auburn had a good game, and that felt like a first 70 kind of game because of how good both these defenses are. Particularly Michigan State has had a top 5 defense all season, and so because of that, you could afford some empty trips on offense. You could afford, honestly, I'm sure Bruce Pearl was not very happy. Some of their late game execution. They had 2 turnovers in the backcourt late in the game, and then a pass ahead by Chad Baker-Mazara did not end up being a turnover because Jaden Akins couldn't corral it. But they kind of were sloppy at the end of the game. But again, it was that 17-0 run at the beginning. It was the fact they came out of the gate so hot, sort of secured the victory for them very, very early on. And like I mentioned, it turned the crowd up in such a way that you just sort of felt like there's no way these people in here are going to let Auburn lose this game. Like there's no way they are going to not be on their feet if things get really, really close and try to will their team to victory. So it was obviously a fitting reward for the number 1 overall seed. I thought that was kind of the biggest thing from last week, is they earned that trip to Atlanta. That's why the regular season is important, because you get to play where you want in the second weekend of the tournament, and obviously it turned out to be a fantastic draw for Auburn.
Well, and then before the electricity of Janai coming back from the injury, and people forget there was still over 10 minutes left in the game, so it was not over. Before he came back, though, His dad comes out there, gives the thumbs up. He comes back in the game, electrifies the crowd, then makes the three, which is probably the biggest moment of the game, like you called it, the dagger. But I will say, before that happened, my favorite sequence in the game was the Dylan Cardwell block. Then he runs the floor, and then he runs the floor at such a pace that Chad Baker-Mazara's pass is deflected. He catches the deflection and finishes on the other end with a layup. I thought that was a tremendous sequence and was my favorite until the Jonai Broom, Willis Reed kind of situation.
Yeah, I mean, everything, especially in a game like that is on such a big stage, you go back and you look at every moment, and how it kind of helped Auburn get there. I would completely agree. I think immediately after Broom was injured, Chris Moore gets a steal and he pushes ahead to Chaney Johnson for a layup. And it's like there's a defensive stop and a basket right after the energy got sucked out of the building, right after everyone was really tense because nobody knew the status of Janai Broom. Todd Pettiford hit a three-pointer later from the corner. Chad Baker-Mazara hit a three-pointer later from the wing on a great pass from Denver Jones. So you're right. It just continued to be little moments here and there. And anytime Michigan State had any, inkling of a comeback, anytime they had, a stop on the defensive end or they had a basket down the other way, Auburn always had the right response. And look, the biggest thing was in this game is that it came from defense. Auburn theorized before this tournament. Bruce Pearl said it over and over and over again. He's like, we're only going to go as far as defense takes us. Like, Auburn's offense is fun and it's exciting and it's been insanely efficient all year. But if they don't lock down and play defense, then they're not going to get very far. I think they were very, very pleased with what that looked like throughout the NCAA tournament. Creighton in the first half making 9 3-pointers was kind of just like it. When you look back at this run to the Final Four, that feels like the anomaly. Like everything else, and they just got hot. I think everything else was so crisp and so efficient for Auburn on the defensive end of the floor. And like I said, this felt like a 1st to 70 type game for them against Michigan State. And boy, I mean, you can go up and down the lineup. They played a really, really great defensive game. Michigan State didn't really make any 3-pointers until honestly the very end of the game. They made 4 of them in the last 5 minutes to keep things interesting. And so that's going to continue to need to be the case. I mean, when you go against Florida, one of the best offenses in the country, a team that has obviously got, I think, the best player in the tournament in Walter Clayton Jr. I mean, he's having a Kemba Walker type impact for that Florida team. And so they're going to need to continue to be stout on that side of the ball and rebounding as well. I mean, how many times did I get on this show with you guys and talk about how Auburn need to rebound better throughout the season? And now they've had a positive margin in every single one of their games. They out-rebounded Michigan in the Sweet 16 by 13. I don't remember the margin against Michigan State, but they were really good on the boards with that game against a giant Florida team. That's going to be a key for them as well.
Yeah, you mentioned Florida. That first
Rematch
meeting
coming up.
First meeting didn't go so well for Auburn.
I'm sure they're motivated though. They got to be motivated to see these guys.
Definitely motivated, but man, it's going to be in the back of your mind.
It's everything you could ask for from a narrative perspective when you're looking at a Final Four. I mean, not only the fact that these guys met in the regular season, like you said, Auburn's going to have a little bit of revenge on their minds, and they're going to look back at that and look. It's tough to beat a really good team twice. That's kind of what you look at here. Like, I mean, you would rather be. I think people talked about like Tennessee and Kentucky when they met. It's like, oh man, can Tennessee beat them the third time? And I think the thinking was right of people saying like, well, I'd rather be the team that's won twice than the team that's lost twice going into that. So, like, yeah, you'd still rather be Florida that has beaten Auburn already. But at the same time, like, being able to put together a 40-minute game plan to beat a really good team twice, in the span of what was that, a month and a half ago, is obviously difficult. Auburn would say they played their worst defensive game of the season. In that one, I mean, Florida came into Neville Arena and scored 90 points. Walter Clayton, that was sort of the beginning. Like, Clayton had been good all season. That was sort of the beginning. I don't remember how many points he had, but he just had a tremendous performance there. That was the beginning of his star starting to shine brightly as the calendar turned toward March. I mean, Florida made a ton of 3-pointers in that game. They had the most assists by a team in Neville Arena against Auburn in the Bruce Pearl era. So, like, it was really not what they needed on the defensive end of the floor, and obviously that's going to be an area where they're really, really going to need to tighten up. Florida's just been, look, I think all 4 of these 1 seeds have shown you why they've been so good all year. Auburn has done a good job of getting it from different guys, of using their depth. And, you can point to 5 or 6 different players having really, really good tournaments and helping Auburn, legitimately helping Auburn win games. Florida has just shown an ability not to be killed. I mean, in 2 straight games, they trailed, they were down, obviously to UConn, even go back to the round of 32. They trailed late in that game, and they were just able to pull it out. They were able to, make clutch plays at the end. I mean, Walter Clayton late in the game against Texas Tech. I mean, just absolutely ridiculous that they were able to pull that one out. So, it is probably, it's because it's the Final Four and it's the most anticipated game ever at Auburn. And you've also got the element of, Todd Golden against Bruce Pearl, which I'm sure we're going to continue to hear about and talk about all week. Bruce Pearl says Todd's like another son to him, and Todd Golden looks at Bruce Pearl as a tremendous mentor, someone who's done so much for him on and off the floor. It's the matchup of their schemes. Todd Golden has such an impressive offensive scheme, and so it's going to be a tremendous matchup. I don't see how this isn't an instant classic for so many different reasons. You also have the element of Janai Broome chose Auburn over Florida out of the transfer portal. I mean, it's just all of these things. It's going to be a huge challenge for Auburn, but I certainly think if they go out there and they play well and they tighten up things from the first game, it's obviously a game they can win. It's just one where I think they're going to have to play their best game in the tournament so far in order to do so.
Well, and finally, I guess the $1 million question to circle back is how healthy will Jonai be?
Yeah, so Bruce Pearl said yesterday that so the team was off Monday, didn't do anything, wanted to rest, and then they practiced Tuesday and they'll practice today as well before they leave. They didn't even question having Janai Broome for those practices. They didn't want him out there. They didn't want him going through anything. They wanted him to completely to just rest. I think it's important at this point to note that Broome's had a fair few injuries this year, 3 or 4.
Yes.
Obviously the ankle was the most significant of all of those, but Auburn knows how to handle him at this point. Like, they know what he needs. They know if he's going to need rest versus if they want to put him back out on the floor. This is not their first rodeo with dealing with, honestly, a pretty minor injury. I think there's no doubt at all that he's going to play on Saturday. Number one, because he came back in and played on Sunday. And then also the fact that, I mean, it's the Final Four. You'd have to straitjacket this guy, I think, to keep him from being on the floor. And so, but from a technical perspective, did not practice yesterday, will not practice today from a rest perspective. But Bruce Pearl said, like, they're leaving for San Antonio today, later on in the afternoon. They'll have their first practice in the Alamo Dome tomorrow. The expectation is they'll get him back out there for that. Like Bruce said, there's no damage. There's no risk of injury. I think it's just Janai Broome's probably sore, probably in a lot of pain because he definitely hyperextended that, and there was a lot of pain at the time. And so I think Bruce Pearl wants to make sure he's feeling good. He's feeling as close to 100% as possible before they go out there for their first practice in San Antonio tomorrow afternoon.
So when we watch this game on Saturday, in your eyes, what's that one thing that Auburn then is going to have to do against Florida if they want to have that chance to get a win?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just look at what happened in the first game. I think that'd probably be the easy early keys to look at. I think it goes back to what we talked about, Walter Clayton and rebounding. Florida really just took it to Auburn on the board. In that game, it was not a performance Janai Broome and Dylan Cardwell want to remember from a defensive rebounding perspective and just a physicality perspective. It's an Auburn team that challenged themselves internally here in the postseason to be more physical, to do a better job on the glass. I think they've done all of those things, but they haven't seen a team like Florida, of course, that has that kind of size. And obviously, has guys like Alex Condon, Micah Handlogden, Thomas Houck, and Chinelu that have so much size and are able to do so well there on the glass. And then Walter Clayton, like I mentioned, I think he's been the best player in the tournament so far. Look, Denver Jones has been a tremendous on-ball, perimeter defender throughout the season. Here's a massive test for him. If you're Bruce Pearl, you're telling him, hey, go out there and get some revenge. It was not the game you guys wanted the first time around. Go out there and play some good individual defense. So I think it's going to come down mostly to that defensive scheme. How well can Stephen Pearl and his scouting group put together a defensive scheme to slow down Florida? Because if this game is a little more lower scoring, that plays in Auburn's favor, as we've seen throughout the tournament. I mean, Michigan and Michigan State, those are more defensive type games, and that's what makes Auburn so good is they can play so many different styles. Florida would rather obviously get the scoring going. They'd rather push all their guards in transition. They'd obviously get Walter Clayton running. But I think if it's a lower scoring defensive game, that starts to lean Auburn's way. So got to be better on the glass in that first meeting. And you just, I mean, it's easier said than done, of course, but you can't let Walter Clayton do some of the heroic things he's done to get Florida to this point.
No question. Well, Nathan, we appreciate it. You've been very generous throughout this journey and with your time and previewing the Final Four for the Auburn Tigers. Historically, second time in 6 years they've been under to the Final Four under Bruce Pearl. Historic. Now they're trying to win the first national championship in our state's history on the Division I level. But just amazing. But thank you, and I'll let everybody know how to follow your coverage from San Antonio.
Yeah, for sure. Appreciate you guys for having me on. Really, really looking forward to it. When I went to the Final Four in 2019, I was a junior in college, and if you had told me 6 years later I'd be able to go again in this position, I mean, it's just incredible. And so, really looking forward to it. AuburnUndercover.com. We are going to have you guys, stacked to the gills with content throughout the week. And if you want all our VIP stuff as well, full access to our content, still running 50% off. You can try us out for just $1. So not much investment on your part. If you've been thinking about checking out Auburn Undercover and our message board and our VIP content, you can sign up for just $1 your first month and see if you like it.
Thank you, sir. Safe travels.
Thanks.
Thank y'all.
Nathan King, kind enough to join us ahead of his trip to the Alamo Dome in San Antonio.
Never been to the Final Four. What a thrill it must be.
I'm just thinking Tex-Mex food in San Antonio.
Here we go.
Yep, we got to get a break in. Talking Ball returns.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Just got a new accident. It's a hit and run around Madison Boulevard and County Line. Motorcycle involved there. That one's coming in as a no injury. Had one in Limestone County, 31 in Huntsville Browns Ferry that should be long gone now. With more than 30 years experience, D&L Refrigeration can save you money on those heating and air conditioning repairs. 256-652-1207. State license 08091. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Countdown to the 2025 Trash Panda season is on. Tickets are available for the full 2025 home schedule, including opening night on Friday, April 4th. But it doesn't end there. The Trash Panda season opens with 9 home games in 10 days, featuring theme nights, giveaways, fireworks, and more. This opening homestand has it all. For more information, check us out online at trashpandasbaseball.com.
The Bass Pro Shops Red Crest Championship Outdoor Expo will be at the Von Braun Center April 4th, 5th, and 6th in conjunction with the MLF Red Crest Championship on Lake Guntersville. The Outdoor Expo will be open from 11 to 6:30 daily, and the first 200 kids 14 and under on Saturday will receive a free Abu Garcia rod and reel, courtesy of WHNT News 19. There will be hourly giveaways, tackle and boat deals, seminars, and a chance to meet the pros. And it's free of charge. The Bass Pro Shops Red Crest Championship Outdoor Expo, April 4th through 6th at the BBC.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
It's laundry season at Owen Home Appliance Center. Tired of that washer walking out the door and having to dry a load 2 or 3 times? It's time for a new washer and dryer. Pick from brands like Maytag, GE, Whirlpool, Electrolux, and of course, Speed Queen. Try the new 2-in-1 GE Profile that washes and dries a load all in one machine. Visit the interactive location in Lacey Springs where you can try the washers and dryers before you buy them. Owen Home Appliance Center. Quality products, quality pricing, quality service. It's in the name, Owen Home Appliance Center.
1 in 3 adults in America have pre-diabetes, but most don't know it. To let people know it can be reversed before it becomes type 2 diabetes, professional basketball player Julius Randle is doing everything in reverse.
I'm only dunking with reverse windmills. I drove the whole way to practice in reverse. I don't recommend it. This move's called the reverse shuffle. I do recommend it. And it took me months to learn how to speak in reverse, like this. Here's 10 almost for diabetes type 2 with living Ben has mom my. In other words, my mom has been living with type 2 diabetes for almost 10 years. So together, we want to say to the 84 million Americans at risk, exercise and healthy eating can help reverse prediabetes. Start by taking a simple 1-minute risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
Bet he can't say that in reverse.
This will turn journalism on its ear.
Watch our stream on WZZN TV on Twitch and YouTube.
But you are the greatest hero in American history.
We are 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
I'm sure some people had this song cranked up when they were playing in television.
Yeah.
See, I did get it right. It was in television.
Yeah, I mean, we've had people texting in that they had it.
Yes.
You said your neighbors had it?
I think my neighbors had it.
Right.
Because, you know, it was kind of like back in the day where you either chose beta or VHS. Remember the two VCRs they had out at the time? You either go beta or VHS, and it was like, which one is going to win out? There was Atari, there was Intellivision, and it was like, which one is going to carry on? Which one is going to be the thing? And Atari was the one that went forward. Atari was the one, and then it morphed into PlayStation and Sega and all that other stuff. But this is, I mean, these were some of the first gaming consoles that you plug into your TV. And I remember when video stores started renting out machines for the first time, and it was like, I mean, it's just back in the day, just crazy. Anyway, speaking of madness and crazy, I know we're beginning the countdown towards the NFL draft.
Yep.
Plenty of time, folks. I mean, there's still plenty of time, but it's vastly approaching.
And it'll be in Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Yeah, and there's so many mock drafts out there, and it's like you can't break down everyone. You don't need to break down everyone.
How much I love them.
Yeah, but you know what though? They're going to field these a lot, and they're worth a scan every now and then, but you don't hold a lot of weight in mock drafts. And Field Yates just put one out. He just released it at let's see here, 3 hours ago. He just released his latest mock draft.
First 2 rounds.
Yeah, the first 2 rounds. And of note, what is the first Alabama player, and Alabama fans are used to seeing a lot of first round, not a lot, but several guys go in the first round.
True.
And this year, that is not going to projected not to be the case this year. Field Yates has just one Alabama Crimson Tide player going in the first round of this year's draft. And I asked you during the break who you thought it would be, and you nailed it exactly.
Yeah, Jahad Campbell, linebacker for the University of Alabama. Tyler Booker, in most cases, has slipped into being a second-round pick.
And he has. Field Yates does have Booker in the second round.
And, I mean, guards aren't as valued as tackles. I still think he's going to be an outstanding player for a long time, whatever organization he goes with. I love Jahad Campbell's athleticism, and Jalen Milroe not in those top 2 rounds. And
no, are you surprised? So CBS Sports,
not at all.
CBS Sports did a mock draft of the 3rd round and 4th rounds as well, and that is where Jalen Milroe has his name listed potentially to the Raiders in that 3rd round. You said during the break that you feel that is
the ceiling.
That is the highest he can go.
Yeah, I don't see him going in the first or the second round. The first round has long since been done.
Right.
I don't think his draft process has been, just off the charts. There's been some talk a second round. I just don't see it. I think he's going to be a 3rd, 4th round pick, a developmental guy. He's certainly going to get an opportunity in the NFL. We'll see what he does with that. Jalen Hurts was a surprise going in the second round. I thought he was going to be a third or a fourth round pick, but he's certainly taken full advantage of what he's done. He's a Super Bowl champion, played in 2 Super Bowls, and is entrenched now as the starter for the Philadelphia Eagles. So we'll see what happens with Milroe, but I think there's a lot more polish and development that has to happen with Milroe than where Jalen Hurts was at the same time.
By the way, Field Yates does have Quinshawn Judkins going into this in the second round as well.
Running backs yet again in some cases are not are devalued, but Judkins should have a really good pro career, no doubt about it, after he won a national championship with the Suckeyes.
All right, so let's get a break in, because when we come back, like I said, mock drafts are worth about what we gave it right there, a couple minutes. As the draft goes along, we'll start getting more and gearing more up towards the NFL draft, but we still have a little bit to get to. And there's also that thing called the Final Four standing in the way, and that is the Florida Gators and the Auburn Tigers on Saturday. We talked the Auburn top of the hour. Let's talk Florida at the bottom of the hour. Our good friend Kevin Brockway will join us, who, by the way, was just on the Paul Feinbaum show.
Hey, he's been a friend of our show for a good while, and we carry the Paul Feinbaum show, so we're talking to the right people.
We are. We've dialed in, so to speak. Where's the beef? We'll be right back.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A partly sunny to mostly cloudy sky this afternoon. Going to be quite warm across the Tennessee Valley. Small opportunity for a little bit of rain, but it looks like we're probably going to end up staying dry. Temperatures consistently climbing into the low and mid 80s, dropping into the mid upper 60s as we head into the overnight, and much the same Thursday afternoon. A partly sunny to mostly cloudy sky. Maybe a rogue shower develops across the Tennessee Valley. Temperatures climbing into the low and mid 80s, only dropping into the mid upper 60s as we head into the overnight. We're going to do it again on Friday. Temperatures climbing into the low and mid 80s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Eagle Masonry and Insulation. It's right there in the name. Eagle is your one-stop shop for block, stone, or brickwork, monument signs, and outdoor kitchens and fireplaces. Eagle also offers the finest craftsmanship and insulation, including fiberglass or spray foam insulation, and of course, insulation removal. Philip Love and his team have years of experience, bringing the region the best in masonry and insulation services. For more information and a quote, visit insulatewitheagle.com or call 256-755-1556. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
I'm here with Stan McDonald of Jacob Title. Stan, I've heard that every real estate closing at Jacob Title is a very big deal. Why is that?
Wes, I'm reminded of a very impactful statement that I heard from Coach Gene Stallings years ago when he talked about big games and little games. He said he didn't like that comparison. He says, because try losing one of those little games, and if you ever do, it ends up being the biggest game all year long. Well, it's the same thing with real estate closings. Every game, every closing is a very big deal at Jacob Title, because when it's your closing and your contract on the line, it's a very big deal, and we understand that at Jacob Title.
So it sounds like whether your client is a first-time residential buyer or a multi-million-dollar investor, they can expect your A game.
That's exactly right. As a matter of fact, when you bring your real estate closing to us at Jacob Title, we understand it's all about trust and confidence. And when Stan McDonald tells you that a chicken dips snuff, you can look under his wing for the box.
And like Beebs likes to say, there's no doubt about it.
Hey, folks, this is Arthur Seaton, managing partner at University Kia, proudly saying, Roll Tide and War Eagle. Stop into University Kia today and shop one of the area's largest selection of new Kias, including Fortes, Seltos, Telluride, and Popular Carnival, and fully electric EV6. View all the great specials at universitykia.com and get pre-approved in minutes so you can drive home your new Kia you really want, because we want to see you in a University Kia.
From Coleman to Fayetteville and all points in between.
Son, pull the hammer back. Smokey's coming at you in a plain white wrapper.
97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Kenny Loggins. Kenny Loggins bringing us back. Danger zone.
Yeah, it's hard to believe Val Kilmer's gone.
It is.
It's shocking. I knew his health wasn't good, but it's hard to believe he was 65 years old.
Kenny Loggins wrote some great soundtracks also back in the day.
He was king of the soundtrack.
Caddyshack, Top Gun. He had some good ones. Speaking of good ones, Saturday, Florida and Auburn inside the Alamo Dome. And I know you're going to sit there and a lot of people are going to look at that first matchup and say, woof, Florida ran away with this one inside Neville Arena. And but I'm telling you, I mean, it all depends a lot on Broom's health. I know he's going to play. I mean, there's no way he is not going to play. But I tell you, something just feels a little bit different. But if you're Florida and Todd Golden, you're heading into this one. You've played some really good basketball. Yeah, you've had to work hard and deep and been pushed in a couple of these games. But, man, Florida's looked good, and they found ways to get wins in this tournament.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, our next guest, it was his birthday yesterday. So happy birthday, belatedly.
Is that a joke?
According to his X account, it's not. I'm going to say it's not. He's of course, he's covered the Gators in 2 separate occasions, but there's no one more well-connected to Florida basketball. I met this gentleman several years ago when I first got in the business, and, of course, covered a rare Alabama win over at Florida, which Florida repaid Alabama with a blowout later on at Coleman Coliseum in 2018 during the year that Colin Sexton was there. But he covered the Billy Donovan era better than anyone, Billy winning it twice, going to 4 Final Fours. He covers Florida now for the Gainesville Sun and the Gannett Florida Network. And, of course, he was on the Paul Feinbaum show, I guess on his birthday yesterday, and that is Kevin Brockway, and he's been kind enough to join us today on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. We hope you had a great birthday, Kevin. We appreciate you coming back on. How are you, sir?
Hey, trust me, I wish it was a joke because I was relentlessly teased as a kid. But at least people remember it now. And by the way, quick aside, Kenny Loggins, you forgot Footloose.
That's right.
How can we forget that? My God. I think he's the king of the soundtrack.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, Kevin
Oh,
Brockway.
my
That's why you're the
gosh. I
best.
forgot about Footloose.
Yeah.
I feel bad now.
Yeah, here we go. But speaking of loose, the Gators have to be confident. February the 8th, they went over to Neville Arena. They win 90-81 without Elijah Martin, who's one of their 2 best players. But talk about how – and this has not been an easy journey to the Final Four. The Gators were pushed to the limit 2 times and really for a half against Maryland, but really pushed to the limit. But the legend of Walter Clayton continues to grow, Kevin.
No question. I mean, you're down 9 at the end of 4 timeout. It's looking pretty bleak. But I thought, the big separator throughout that game against Texas Tech was the 3-point line. Texas Tech had 10 threes. Florida had 5. And then Florida goes on that barrage of late threes. Clayton hits 2. Tommy Houck hits 2. That's what really, won them the game was, evening out that 3-point margin. That and, some sleight of hand by Todd Golden, 2 fouling, certainly on purpose twice down the stretch, the front end of the 1-on-1s. It works out. They miss them. They steal a few possessions there. And the defense got a little better down the stretch. But, coming into this matchup, certainly Florida has some confidence. It's interesting. You mentioned Jedi Broom and his elbow. I mean, Alex Condon's a little banged up, too, for Florida going into that this matchup with the ankle. I thought even when he came back, he doesn't look quite 100%. He might get a little healthier, a little more treatment this week. But if you remember, that Condon-Broom matchup was pretty big in the first, meeting. Both had double-doubles, but Condon was far more efficient. He was 7 of 10. Broom was 8 of 19. And Condon really made, Broom work for his points and size. So I think that's going to be a key matchup worth monitoring those 2 banged-up big men.
That Texas Tech game, I mean, obviously, if you're Florida, I mean, you're loving the comeback. You're loving everything. You're feeling good. But was that more of a matchup problem for Florida? One of those games where in the tournament where you just don't get the team that matches up very well? Or was Florida just having that type of slow day?
Well, I think, Darian Williams was a problem inside for him, he and Toppin, and Toppin's Big 12 player of the year. I mean, I think it was a little tough inside in terms of, and Todd doesn't like to double in the post. But that being said, I mean, I thought Texas Tech, too, did a really good job defending the 3-point line. I thought McCaslin had a very good game plan going into it and really, had Florida off its game for a while. But again, when they needed the shots, they got them. I mean, I think that's the big takeaway. And the fact that Walter Clayton Jr., can step up in these late moments and make clutch shots. He did in the UConn game as well. His legend is just growing. I'll be curious about the Dome a little bit because sometimes it can throw shooters off here and there. I've seen some, I go back to 2014 and, how poorly, Florida shot in that game against UConn in the Final Four, and they were kind of a three-reliant team like this team is. But I have a feeling that, Florida will adapt and adjust and do what they need. And, it'll be adjustment for Auburn as well for a guy like Miles Kelly. So we'll see how that works out.
Yeah, and Miles had a good game against Florida, but the Gators, Walter Clayton never even came off the floor in going 40 minutes wire to wire in Neville Arena.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no. And, he was coming off a sprained ankle that game.
That's right.
Florida was pretty banged up. Denzel Aberdeen stepped up and made some big shots. And, that's the thing about this Florida team, with Condon, going down in that Maryland game a little bit and being limited. You have a guy like Tommy Houck that comes off the bench, and he was terrific. And he was terrific in the Elite Eight game, 20 and 11 rebounds. He's another guy that would start on a lot of other SEC teams. So I think that, that depth is really the key. And I know Auburn's got some depth too. Pettiford comes off the bench, and he's a very good scorer. So I think that's going to be an interesting thing. Can Auburn match Florida's depth in production and points off the bench? Florida's got that four big rotation. Now, you remember Micah Handlock didn't play in that first game, obviously, against Auburn. So that's another big that you can throw at them. And I think that, it'll be a group effort on Broome. I think Condon will start out, but, you're going to see a lot of different guys there trying to slow him down.
How cool is the storyline? And obviously it's going to get played a lot on CBS. You're going to hear it a lot in the pregame. You're going to hear it a lot during the game, that Todd Golden worked under Bruce Pearl. And when they met for the first time in Neville, it really didn't get showcased a lot. And it's been mentioned a little bit now, but come Saturday, it's just going to be on full display that Golden got his start really with being on Bruce Pearl's staff at Auburn.
Yeah, and what's interesting also is Todd going back to San Francisco too. A couple of other mentors, Randy Bennett and Kyle Smith. Certainly his coach at St. Mary's and the coach at Stanford, who he worked under at Columbia and San Francisco. So that was kind of a nice coordination for him. And now you're facing Bruce Pearl, right? His other big mentor. Gave him the first taste of the SEC when he was the director of basketball ops and the assistant there. Yeah, it's a nice storyline. Todd is really close, not just with Bruce, but with Steven, because they're kind of closer in age. Bruce's son, right? He's 37. Todd is 39. I talked about kind of texting him and FaceTiming him on Sunday. So it's an interesting relationship. Another interesting storyline too. Todd Golden, Bruce Pearl, John Shire, 3 Jewish coaches in the Final Four.
Wow.
There you go.
Which is amazing also. With regards to that, and obviously Todd had a background with Bruce, coached him in the Maccabee games in 2010. So a lot of interesting storylines going into it. But I think when the ball goes up in San Antonio, it's going to be about the matchups, and it's going to be about what team adjusts from that game that they played last February in Neville Arena.
Well, and one of the things that I do remember that was under the radar for Florida in the game at Neville was Clavasar. He came off the bench and was very efficient in his 17 minutes. He was 3 for 3, had 9 points, and that was huge because they were missing Elijah Martin, who they will have back in the lineup in this rematch in the Final Four.
And Urban really hasn't played much in the tournament.
Yeah, he hasn't, right.
But maybe this will be a game too where, you could see him, because I know Auburn's a very kind of a guard-heavy team, and they sometimes play smaller. So you might see Urban out there on the floor. It's going to be interesting. But, Aberdeen was very good in the Sweet 16 game against Maryland. And he's a guy that, again, another guy as a guard that could probably start on a lot of other SEC teams. I think he'll get his opportunity, next year when the 3 guards leave. He'll be a factor off the bench, I think, for Florida as well. It's going to be, really a fascinating matchup between 2 SEC teams, right? And it's kind of interesting. Florida's last Final Four trip in 2014, you had 2 SEC teams. You had Florida and Kentucky, I think, in 2006 when I covered the Final Four. Florida and LSU were in there. So it's interesting, the strength of the SEC. I really thought that they were going to get 3 teams in, and I thought Tennessee was going to do it, but Rick Barnes came up short.
I tell you what, though, that's what's impressive about this Florida team, and
mental toughness, man.
The mental toughness, and really that depth. And I know we've talked about it in this interview, and we've talked about it in other ones, but man, that Florida bench, it's hard not to pick Florida just simply based on the depth in this ball game that they will be able to throw at Auburn.
Yeah, and I think that contributes to their ability to close out teams too. Is they tend to be the fresher team down the stretch compared to the teams they're playing in most instances, and have a little bit more energy because, Todd uses that bench. He monitors minutes really well. That being said, right, Clayton played the 40-minute game. It just seems like Clayton's an energizer bunny. He's maybe an exception to the rule. But they can, utilize that bench to where in the final 4 minutes, the final 8 minutes, they're a fresher team. They play with more energy. They probably, defend a little better than their opponents in that regard. So I think that really plays into it. But yeah, there is a certain, clutch mentality with this team that doesn't panic. I mean, I go all the way back probably the North Carolina game in December. They were down 4 at the under 4 timeout. They just closed that game out really well. And that kind of showed you, their ability to do that. And, and coaching staff too, credit them. They probably do a good job making adjustments as well.
And we're talking to Kevin Brockway, is the Gainesville Sun Gannett Network, the Sunshine Network that he, of course, covers the Florida Gators. We've talked about it, but you brought up Thomas Howell and how he has come so far in this season. I mean, I was hearing a lot of the national guys who covered Florida in these first 2 rounds of the tournament, as far as these, I call them mini tournaments, in the first 4 games getting to the Final Four. He's probably made more money than any of these Gator guys, along with Walter Clayton. Clayton was already a guy everybody was looking toward, but his coming out party in this postseason run and what he did in tandem with Walter Clayton against Texas Tech, I would assume that NBA-wise, his stock is exploding.
Yeah, he and Alex Condon is another guy, too, that will be interesting to see what decisions they make. But, I think with Tommy, 6'9" and really skilled.
Yeah.
Quick to the basket, can shoot, does a lot with the ball, and just plays with relentless effort, too. He's always had that. But his skill level just continues to improve as well, Drew. He's got really the full package in that regard. And really, I kind of thought should have been SEC Sixth Man of the Year. They gave it to Caleb Grill. I think if they did a revote, you probably would have had more consideration for both him and Pettiford. But yeah, Tommy Hawk is a weapon off the bench. Everything that he can do, his versatility. And he's a guy that I think, if he comes back next year, and I think he probably will, you could slide over the wing, and showcase his skills even more. And I think that would probably help his draft stock in the future.
Yeah, I know.
Ultimately, Kevin, how do you see this one going down in San Antonio?
Well, I think it's hard to pick against the Gators at this point based on what their, I know there's an adage, it's hard to beat a really strong program twice. And, certainly Auburn is the number 1 seed for a reason, and they were SEC regular season champions for a reason. And, Florida got the SEC tournament. So I'm going to go Gators 88-83, and I think it'll be a high-scoring game. I think both teams will come out attacking with a lot of energy, playing up tempo, but I think Florida will find a way down the stretch. Walter Clayton, it's hard to bet against them at this point.
Well, that my bracket would enjoy that. I've got Florida and Duke in the finals. Well, I really appreciate it, Kevin. Safe travels covering your 5th Final Four with the Gators. Enjoy it. We look forward to your coverage. Let everybody know how to connect with you.
Yeah, at Kevin Brockway G1 and at Gatorsportsgainesville.com. So it's my 4th Final Four of the Gators crew, but 6th overall. And I was there in 2019 when Auburn was last there in Minnesota.
Oh, that's right.
Was,
when you
a lot of fun.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
That was a good time. They had a really good Prince cover band right at the media party. It was a good time. So hopefully it'll be a lot of fun here in San Antonio.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Get you some good Tex-Mex. Get down to the River Walk. Enjoy it.
We'll see you, man. Thank you, brother.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Got to get a break in. One final commercial when we come back.
Ow.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com.
Are you tired of chasing a roofing contractor to show up on time or even show up at all? I'm Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Our motto at Fleming Roofing is we show up. Our goal at Fleming Roofing is to provide the reliable customer service that you deserve, and we have the resources to meet all of your roofing needs: residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. We are manufacturer certified for roof coatings, single-ply membranes, and asphalt shingles. Whenever you need a roofing professional you can count on, call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We are committed to finding the solution that meets your needs. We don't have quotas or heavy-handed sales tactics. Fleming Roofing, we have expert experience. We show up. Free estimates, residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. Check us out at FlemingHSV.com. FlemingHSV.com. When you need a quick response, it's Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
You don't have to go somewhere else just so you can go somewhere new. Plan your next vacation with Huntsville International Airport and Breeze Airways. Enjoy friendly, convenient, nonstop travel to some of the most exciting destinations in the U.S., including the home of 12 world-famous theme parks, Orlando, Florida. With flights starting as low as just $49, Breeze has got you covered with easy, breezy, nonstop flights to Orlando. Make all their dreams come true. Book nonstop to Orlando now at flybreeze.com.
This segment of Talkin' Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com. It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
So we've been entertaining you with some classic commercials again today. How about this one?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Kool-Aid here, bringing you fun. Kool-Aid's got there's on the run, get a big.
How many times have you seen the Kool-Aid man bust through walls
as soon as
and
Kool-Aid
stuff?
McKinstry came to Alabama, you saw it all the time. But I'll be honest, I hadn't had Kool-Aid since I was in like middle school. They still make it.
They still do.
Okay.
Used to be, I mean, gosh, back then it was like 15 cents a pack or whatever, you know, just the little pack of Kool-Aid. It was
like grape, orange, cherry.
That was it.
Yeah. Well,
and then they started doing Mountain Berry.
And then the big deal I remember was lemonade. Everybody was excited about Kool-Aid lemonade.
They had tropical punch, grape, cherry, lemonade. And now they've got, I think, all these wacky flavors and stuff. It's not as simple.
It would scare the hell out of me.
Now, when you made Gatorade as a kid,
right? It was in glass bottles back then.
But you could make it in the powder.
Yeah.
But did you put a lot of sugar in your Gatorade, or did you put a little
bit? To put water in it. You know, it was kind of strong.
It was that bitterness if you didn't put anything in it.
I remember. I'll never forget playing basketball one day over at my buddy Greg Providence's house. I don't know if he's listened to this show. We've known each other since we were very young, and I'll never forget. We were thirsty as hell one day, and I think it was his mother. She went in there and made a whole, back
gallon.
It was one of those. You know, you always had those plastic pitchers. She made a big pitcher of Gatorade. He was so hot, he took the whole damn pitcher of Gatorade and poured it over his head.
Gatorade, not Kool-Aid.
No, Kool-Aid. I'm sorry.
Oh, he made Kool-Aid?
And she was about to kill him because she made the whole. We were supposed to drink it. He poured the whole damn thing over his head. I was like, what the hell? I can't remember if it was grape, cherry. I can't remember what flavor it was. But I was like, damn, he just poured the whole thing over his head, man.
Oh, my goodness. That's good.
Wow.
That's good.
I mean, now if it had just been water, I could see it, man. Just pour a bucket of water over your head. I've wanted to do that to several people. But I mean, wasting a whole little sleeve of either, well, you had sleeves of Gatorade, you had sleeves of Kool-Aid, but back then it was those little packets of Kool-Aid. You're wasting a whole packet of Kool-Aid.
It was the little packets, and you could buy them for like 15 cents or whatever. Yes.
Why are you wasting a whole packet of Kool-Aid?
I think Marketplace are like 58 cents now,
58?
maybe a little bit more.
Oh, we can thank Joe for
Not
that.
too crazy.
That's still though. That's high
Yeah, it is.
for a little pack of powder.
Yeah.
We'll be back at it tomorrow.
Have you discovered Good Company Cafe? The place for breakfast, brunch, lunch, and so much more. Enjoy brunch all day and pair with one of our many seasonal refreshing drinks, including alcoholic and non-alcoholic options. Choose inside or outside on our gorgeous, spacious, dog-friendly patio and have some fun with friends playing yard games in the courtyard.